Welcome to the North College Hill Public Safety Meeting, which is starting 10 minutes late at 6:40 this evening. I want to apologize to those of you who were trying to log on to see the meetings. None of us have a key to the door. And apparently there's one person who is responsible for the key to the door. So we will have to take that up at the next council meeting and perhaps find someone else to be responsible for the keys to the door, because it's really important and we cannot have somebody in charge of that who has no respect for our time. So I did send an agenda to everyone. Did everyone get a copy of the agenda?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I did also get a report or an update from Chief Plackey. I did not receive anything from Chief Cheney or Mr. Huffman. So everything's moving real slow here. I apologize. Okay. Just get my agenda opened here. I apologize.
I got mine.
Are we moving on to public safety?
Yes, we're going to public safety, rules and public policy. I'll send out an email, but that meeting was canceled
Okay.
since from 6 to 6:30 we were standing outside the doors. Oh, goodness. So I don't have anything with regard to police department updates. I did have a question since Ms. Dukestein is present. I have you as a meeting of this committee. Are you not a meeting of this committee? Member,
I am of Rules and Public Policy.
but you're not on public safety?
No, I gave it up in lieu of the school board.
Oh, okay. Still have you down as a member. Okay, so with regard to that legislation that the police department has submitted to us, is that something that they're going to resubmit, or do you know?
I do not know at this time.
Okay. All right, fair enough.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
are you talking about the one we?
the tow lot.
Okay, all right, got
That's all I'm gonna say about it
Yeah.
for the moment. I did have some other things I wanted to talk about, but I think that that's gonna be more appropriate for an executive session, and I'm not going to do that today. I'm gonna do that at a council meeting when everybody is here.
All right.
Fire department updates, I did receive a report from Chief Plackey. Did everybody receive a copy of that?
Yes, ma'am.
So he attached to his report a picture of the new fire truck. So, bless you.
Thank you.
Very excited about that. Did anybody have any questions about that?
No, I do.
Sure.
Do you have the final day? I'm super excited to see it.
I do not. Well, wait a minute. It might be in the report, which I am still trying to open.
You're from July? Are you talking about
Yes,
the
from July.
report? All
Yep.
right, thank you.
Yes. So he also includes fire calls, EMS calls, and other calls in his report. let me see. There's no delivery date. Yeah, there's no delivery date, but we do have some really beautiful pictures of the new fire engine.
Yeah. Now, Madam Chair,
Yes.
weren't we supposed to get an ambulance too?
A what?
An ambulance? A
No.
new ambulance?
I
medical
think we
truck?
already have that.
Okay, we already received
We
that.
already have the new ambulance, isn't that right? Yeah, we already
we
have
do?
that.
Why didn't we get pictures for that?
Some of us
Hey,
did.
did you see it?
I don't remember, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like to see it.
Okay, but we did get the new ambulance.
Okay,
And it's
yeah, I
actually in
remember.
service, and
Right.
they sold the old one.
Right, yes.
Yes.
I remember
So-
that conversation. That's why I was asking. Like, I mean, I didn't even see no new pictures of the ambulance. This is the
Well,
first time I even seen the
Mr.
engine.
Wilson, the fire department is right around the corner.
I got
You can stop there any
guess
day
I will,
you want
'cause
to.
I ain't getting no pictures.
And just
And I
push
think
that bell.
I think
tell 'em-
the ambulance is I mean, it's not as exciting. Well, getting new equipment that's efficient for our citizens is exciting, but they look very similar. The fire truck has all the, like, we're seeing it as it builds, which is a little bit different than the ambulance.
Okay.
So,
But they will give you a tour anytime you
Yeah.
want
Well,
to.
yeah, I'm gonna stick my head in there and take a tour.
You should.
Yeah, because I want to see it.
And any citizen, you should. I encourage you to do that. Okay. So the next thing on the agenda, okay, how many minutes? Recommendations from the Planning Commission. That wasn't supposed to be on public safety. That was supposed to be on rules and public policy.
Are we going to discuss it here, Madam
No,
Chair?
I'm going to not discuss it here.
Okay.
And just point out to those people who think that it's urgent that maybe they should call the individual who's responsible for unlocking the door to make sure that we don't have the kind of mishap that we had today. There will be no special meeting. There will be no makeup meeting. The next the Rules and Public Policy meeting will be the second Monday in September. So, moving on to speed humps. I did scour my email, and I got those 4 suggestions in my email. Laboito and Bising at Noble, Sundell at Catalpa, Clovernook and Norman. Is anybody else familiar with any other intersection that we should probably address?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
So it was brought to my attention that the back end of, I think it's Savannah, is that where the street that the bar sits on?
Have no idea.
Yeah. Mr. Davis, is that correct? Well, I know there's a street that comes off the side of there. I don't know the name of it, but it has a stop sign there, but people keep blowing through it.
Yeah, those are the streets that I'm interested in. So
Okay.
do you know what the intersection would be?
I can't. I just know that it was brought to my attention that it's the back end of the Savannah, wherever the street that the bar sits on, and it is that. I'm not for sure.
Is Savannah and Dallas?
Is it? 'Cause I know the street that it's come from is a one way, and it comes down to hit Savannah, but they keep blowing through that stop sign right there. So I'm not for sure the name of that street, but that's a very hazardous area.
Well, again, we now know that you actually can have speed humps right by a stop sign because the city of Cincinnati has put speed bumps by stop signs on 13th Street. I saw them with my eyes. So I know it's not something that
Can't be done.
that we cannot do. So
Thank you.
I am going to write the legislation, present it to this committee, and then we'll send it to council floor. That way we don't have any misunderstandings.
also Sundale.
Sundale,
Oh, okay.
Sundale at what? Sundale and
I think he was talking about Sundown, Savannah, Dallas, and
Sundale and Savannah.
right.
Yes. Like, Madam Chair, I just wanted to bring it to your attention that I had a couple of complaints about that area.
About what area?
That Savannah down at the end of the bar area, the end of that street from the bar down there, I done had a lot of complaints about excessive
About what?
speeding.
Oh,
Excessive speeding.
excessive speeding. Okay, well, and again, you know, I think that we can at least get the ball rolling with this. I think that's the best way to approach it, because you know how I'm not a fan of being told 50 reasons why
We can't do
we
something.
can't do something. So I believe that if we write the legislation and send it to the council floor,
We can fix that problem.
then we can have those installed, and either people will stop at the stop signs or some really terrible things will happen to their cars. Okay, so old business, does anybody have any old business? New business, does anybody have any new business? We're just moving right along. Action items. So I'm still working on getting the, all of the agendas and the minutes to Mr. Hedger so that he can put them on the website. Obviously, the agendas will be a lot easier to do because there's nothing, they are what they are. The minutes have to be reviewed by the members of the committee first before they're posted online. So I'll send everybody copies of the minutes so that they, for review, and then we can get everything up to date that way.
I think Mr. Hedger is working on that across all the committees, because I've sent him everything up through July, and I don't think my things are out there. I think there's some other holdup that he's facing, and that's all of 2023 and up through July through 2024.
Okay.
So
I'll certainly get with him to try to figure out what that, what's what with that. But I just want us to be have everything out there so we're not, so everybody can just click on it and access it. Okay, well, that was, we kind of breezed through that agenda. So it is, anything else from anybody else? Okay, so you look like you had something.
Oh, I'm sorry. Going back to the speed humps and the speed meter questions. One of the corner in question is Emerson and Parrish. It's a Emerson and Parrish. Those are the connector streets, because we've had a complaint about Meese and Parrish, but what it is, Emerson has a partial curve that you're able to build up speed to, and somebody who misses that stop sign, that's where those issues are coming from. I've received a call about that one as well.
Emerson and Parrish.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's on my list as well. So again, I will write,
The podium. Yes, ma'am.
Mashallah Alexander, 1615 Center Ridge Avenue. There has been quite a few complaints, as well as, myself having a complaint of Center Ridge and Bobwood. It's a stop sign there, but people tend to build up speed to hit that light at Hamilton Avenue.
okay, well, we'll include that as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so again, I have La Boedo at Bising, Bising and Noble, Sundale at Catawba, Clovernook and Norman, Savannah at Dallas, Sundale and Savannah, Emerson and Parrish, Center Ridge and Bobwood. And if there's anyone who knows of any other problem intersections, please let us know. And this seems like a really easy fix, and we're going to address it. Any other issues or concerns? Okay, it is 6:55 and the public safety meeting is hereby adjourned.
North College Hill, we'd like to start the Community Development and Recreation meeting now. So it is 7 o'clock, and we'll start that meeting. We'd like to, I'm gonna open it up with update from the Uptown Bengals cleanup day. That was a success. Thanks for all those who came out and participate. We will be doing that again. The Uptown Bengals will be consistently doing a cleanup day for North College Hill from here on out. We'll move on to number 2. The party in the park is just an update. We're still working on it. Got some, logistics to work out. But we are still in motion of working that out and getting that together. Any questions? Go ahead.
Councilmember Wilson,
Yes.
do we have a time frame that we want to have this scheduled? Is this for next year? Is this for this year?
Well, that party in the park is going to be scheduled for this year. We haven't put a time frame on it or a date. So, like I said, we're still in conversation about that moving forward. But the goal is to try and have it for this year.
And Mr. Chairperson,
Yes, go ahead.
now, do we know about what our appropriations are? Like, what's the budget of the city community development and recreation? Like, how much do we have? What will we have to work with for this year?
I believe that the 2024 budget for recreation was already submitted. And so I'm pretty sure that they're on track for whatever funds that they did have. I don't, go ahead.
So the committees themselves don't actually have funding. The funding falls under NEFA line for recreation, and recreation has an appropriation. I don't remember specifically what that number was for 2024, but I can look it up and send it to you. Did you have a question specifically about those funds? And if so, we can defer it to budget and finance, but
Okay, not a problem.
but it's a good question.
All right, any more questions? All right, well, we will move on to the fireworks show update. It's in works. We do have a designated date. It will be July 3rd, 2025. We're working on the location. We're very positive that we got a good location, so we're now working on all the logistics to get that done. So that is in the works. Any questions? All right, we will move on to the trash can update. Mr. Hoffman is not here with us today, so we will not have a update on our city trash cans, the new ones. I will move on to sorry, you got a question?
I'm just putting it out there that when it comes to these trash cans, because I'm still filling out the application for this to be part of that community development block grant money. But if that doesn't happen, I got a second idea. If maybe about how maybe we might have to downsize the number of cans, but just to make sure that we still get something done this year with it.
Is that all?
Yeah.
All right. Any more questions?
I have a question. When do you have a date when that would be, we'd be able to apply or know if the outcome?
The development block grant, that is toward the end of this month, right?
I'm not sure. I'm not working on that.
Okay. I got it. It's in my backpack somewhere.
Mr. Councilman, we have the money for the grant. It's just deciding on the appropriate project. So the money is available.
Right. Because that's one of those where I want to put that up as one of the projects that applies and competes for that.
Okay.
That's what I meant. I'm sorry if I didn't say it clearly.
So
The
are we talking about the CBG bond?
The 55,000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You were calling it something different than I
Right.
was familiar with. You're talking about the CDBG
Yeah, it's Community
funds.
Development Block Grant.
Got
My
it.
bad.
Got it. Perfect. I'm used to the acronym.
Yeah,
I
I'm sorry.
apologize.
I started with acronyms, so I got to say the
You're
whole
fine.
word.
You're fine.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay, we would like to move on to number 5, the adjustment of committee meetings. So I wanted to bring this conversation up in my committee to speak with the rest of council, but I do feel that we need to move these committee meetings back to 1 hour because I can't get anything accomplished within 30 minutes. So it's an open conversation. Just trying to see y'all thoughts on it.
Mr. Councilman,
Yeah, go ahead.
if we do that, we would have to go back to 2 separate days because we would be here till 11 o'clock if everybody got an hour. I'm just throwing that out there. We would have to go back to our.
I'm not opposed to
separate
going.
days.
I'm not opposed to going back to 2 separate days. Like I said, I think that everybody needs the adequate time to get stuff done. We can't get anything done within 30 minutes.
Mr. Chair, so you can move your meeting if you so choose, or you can talk about moving your meeting to a different day or increasing the time.
Okay.
The chair has that ability, and I'll defer to Ms. Underwood, who's over rules and public policy.
Okay.
So
It could be just the
I don't
one
know if
meeting.
it's-
One committee can move to an hour.
So if you're feeling that
Yes.
your time is not enough time,
Yes.
then you can address your personal meeting and then, kind of let each chair decide what they would like to do.
So how would, Ms. Underwood, how would I address that for myself, for my committee? Okay, thank you. All right, so now that that's addressed, we'll move on to number 6, the Food Truck Friday update. So Food Truck Friday is back, August 16th, from 4 to 9 p.m. at the City Center, 1500 Galbraith Road. There will be a couple of trucks there. Still working on getting us more, but it will continue. Welcome back, Food Truck Fridays. We will have it, and I would like y'all to come out, check us out. Any questions?
Mr. Wilson, you said August 16th?
Yes, August 16th, which is this Friday.
Did that get posted on anywhere?
No, I'm about to post it. But
Okay.
I just wanted to give the update first before I post it out there. I wanted to let everyone here at the committee meeting also know, and then I will be posting it this evening on the websites as far as and then I also have Mr. Hoffman putting up the signs to notify the public that Food Truck Fridays is back.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
is that every Friday?
Yes, that's every Friday.
Every single Friday of
Every single Friday of North College Hills calendar day, we have Food Truck Friday.
Is that all year or just in the summer?
Yes, ma'am. It's going to be all
But
year.
previously, we only did it the first Friday of every month.
Yeah, I know. Previously,
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Every Friday.
I apologize, Miss Dukestein. Yes, the last time it was every other, but this time it will be every Friday at the City Center.
Okay.
And Chairman, yes, sir.
Yes.
Now, one question: would it be possible for us to get with the school board and maybe coordinate these things, because we've got home football games. I want to say first week of September, second week of September, possibly third week of September. Like, would there be a way for us to coordinate with them, like make it consider like Food Truck Friday as a tailgating effort? Because we've also got that lot with where police and fire is on the way to the stadium.
All right. Well, all I will do is reach out to Mr. Blaylock and speak to him again and bring that to his attention and see if there's something that the school board be willing to do. Like I said, it's not a bad idea. I I had a meeting with Mr. Blaylock, but that wasn't a part of the conversation. But I'm pretty sure that he's probably open to speaking about it,
Okay.
just to see if it'll work. All right, any more questions?
Good idea.
Great idea. Yeah. Any more questions from the audience? Council? If you have any questions, take. Okay. Well, thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that.
You want to say? I got it right here.
Yeah, thank you. That's what I'm talking about. So we're past Food Truck Friday update. We have any old business?
I wanted to ask for if there was any progress on the recreation report and the recreation agenda that Miss Clear passed out. I want to say last month, but I'm currently looking for it. I don't have access to it, so we can table that for now.
Any more questions? All right, we'll move on to new business. Any new business? All right. So we have no new business. I will open my floor for 5 minutes to any questions to the audience. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. I'm keeping count. It took you 3 just to get up there.
Right. Absolutely not. Kathy Cur-
Thank you, Ms.
No
Carrington.
problem. 6718 Devonwood Drive, Kathy Curitan. A couple of things I want to say is Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
I kind of agree with you. I was actually speaking with my husband earlier about the timing of our meetings, and I do understand all of us have lives, families, jobs, career, other things in our lives. However, one of the complaints just today was from a citizen stating, "What has council done?" Not talked about, but actually done. And I feel as if a lot of the times our 30-minute meetings that are being held, we talk about a lot. I'm just going back through notes. Just through the summer, a lot of different things have been discussed, such as the speeding. We talked to Chief Cheney. We had Dave Huffman come in, all of these things. And now it's kind of like we're going back to the drawing board. Things discussed in relation to something I had pertinent, but either way, I do agree that a lot of times every meeting goes over, especially budget and finance. It never sticks to 30 minutes. And so I would agree that there are certain meetings. Oh, it was the cannabis moratorium that Ms. Bruner brought up last week. She came to the podium, she asked council. That would fall under one of the three committees who already spoke, but nothing happens from that. She wants to put a cannabis moratorium in North College Hill because as of last Tuesday, it's legal. And she doesn't want it to come to our neighborhood, our backyards, where our kids play. And so I would love to see not just discussion, but action. And I believe in order for that action to occur, we have to have thorough meetings where citizens can see that our council is working actively, not just on the numbers, but on things like Food Truck Friday, things like the trash cans, things like the speeding and all of that. So my question specifically for you, Mr. Wilson, can you just confirm if you know already what trucks will be here Friday, if there is a designated price point, specifically if truck A is selling things for $5 and truck B is selling things for $15, everyone's going to go to truck A. So I want to find out if you know that price point. And it's still pretty warm outside. Are there going to be any tables and chairs made available for those to kind of sit, mingle, and to get to know everyone? And then also the very last statement was I wanted to give a shout out to Mr. Davis because he gave a very great suggestion on tailgating, partnering with the high school. Now location, of course, I'm sure that you and Mr. Blaylock can get together, but I think that would be an excellent idea to build camaraderie, to build unity, to build that family network that we really, really want in North College Hill. That's all. Thanks.
All right, Ms. Carrington, appreciate it. Thank you. So as far as answering your question, as far as the trucks, I have a barbecue truck coming out and a dessert truck coming out. I don't know as far as chairs or anything. I could probably talk to Mr. Hoffman about that. See if there's something that's in the city's closet that not being used, to see if we can accommodate that. Yes.
I don't want you to know where I live.
I know where you live at, but you still got to repeat it for the system.
Erica Underwood, 1282 Norman Avenue. I have a suggestion.
Yes, ma'am.
And again, this is a way that we can do things instead of pointing out 50 reasons why we can't.
Mm-hmm.
So there are these fold-up tables that you can get from Home Depot, Lowe's, whatever. They're like $45, $50 a piece.
Okay.
We can get a few of those with some tablecloths and some fold-up chairs. I think that we can probably find money in council's budget if
Okay.
you kind of put that out to council.
Yes, ma'am.
And then we can direct the administration to purchase those tables and chairs for us.
Okay.
And we can just put just a few tables with chairs out there.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes, ma'am.
are you finished with your conversation regarding the food truck?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
I wanted to speak to the budget and finance meeting. Our meeting actually is not 30 minutes. We did not ever go down to 30 minutes. I never committed to that. And when they passed the legislation regarding that, budget and finance stayed at the original time. It's been that consistently. And I wanted to talk about summer session. So although we only meet one day, we always only met one day. It used to be the every other week. The two meetings would be on one day, and then the following week after council, because council meets every first and third Monday of the month outside of summer session. So that reduced. It didn't reduce it reduced the days only because we reduced to a half an hour, but we always only met once per month. So specifically for budget and finance, that did not change. And I wanted to say that 9 pieces of legislation from starting in June to August, that's 2 months, went to council floor as a work. One was the part-time MOU. We worked through that bargaining agreement, the full-time MOU, the public works. 9 pieces of legislation is a pretty hefty forward-moving thing in 2 months' time to get moving. And we are, most of those in the first month of in the first meeting in September will be voted on. Their Public Works, the special meeting that we're having tonight, is to speed up their process so we can make sure that they get what they need. We got salary ordinance, so many pieces of legislation were handled. And so I just wanted to speak to that because I don't want the notion out there that we're not moving forward, because we are. And I want to remind everybody that we had some of those pieces of legislation held up as a result of what we went through with our city administrator and not having one. Some of those things would have been moved a little sooner had there had been someone in that position. And I can tell you right now, I have 4 pieces of legislation still in the works, sitting in committee for us to talk about, that will soon be going to council floor as well. So I just...
Yeah, you can.
Very quick.
6 minutes.
Thank you so much, sir. 6 minutes, study fresher. Okay. Can you clarify, of those 9 pieces of legislation, which is remarkable, how many were under budget and finance?
all of them.
Right. So that's the concern, right? What about the other committees bringing things to legislation, right? So that's what I'm talking about. I'm not just talking about what budget and finance are doing solely. I'm talking about all of the committees working to build North College Hill. And I also want to make sure of, when we talk about things as far as the timing of meeting, I am very present in our city, and it's not just been what people have visualized who've been here 2 years, 4 years, 10 years. These are comments that are coming from senior don't want to use that word, seasoned citizens of the city who want to see, not just from our council, but who want to see the council now moving forward. You can't speak about what happened 2, 4, 8, 10 years ago. We can only talk about what's happening right now. So it's excellent that 9 pieces of legislation came from budget and finance, but we have public safety, community development, and the other one, which is escaping me right now. So we want to see movement from across the board, and that's it. I appreciate all that you're doing and moving things forward. And I also want to say something too, in reference to the budget meeting, not the budget meeting, but the meeting that we're having tonight for Mr. Huffman's group. They've been working out without a contract for almost 9 months, right? So I would just challenge our council when it comes time for everything to be allocated for the 2025 year. I know that we're working on that. Appreciate what we have, and don't let, I wouldn't work if I was a contract, if I was under a union, I most certainly would not be working 9 months without an agreement. That to me just seems unfair. Why haven't I had a chance to sit down with the appropriate parties to have that done? Why is that not a top priority? I'm looking at you, but I'm talking to all. Was that not a priority to ensure that they're taken care of? And that, I don't want to really make that part of the discussion because this is Mr. Wilson's meeting. I just wanted to say that in reference to that meeting that's had, that special meeting at 7:30 and 7:40, we really shouldn't even have that. It's because we did not put, when I say we, I'm talking about council and administration, did not make that a priority. Now we're having to do it now before the end of the fiscal year.
All right, thank you, Ms. Carrington.
Mr. Wilson.
Go ahead, Ms. Duxon.
So Ms. Cureton, I agree that I don't want to absorb Mr. Wilson's time. And if you want me to address that in budget and finance, I respectfully will. But I will tell you that the first contract that came from their union that was bargaining on their behalf came to us in May. And so there's a going back and forth to make sure that we get to the right spot. It's not entirely the city of North College Hill. It's also them coming up with terms that they want, changes they want to see. And as soon as we were able to get the first draft, it was at the end of May, it was on the agenda via June. And then it took us a couple months to reach a mutual place.
Any more questions? All right, we're gonna call this meeting to adjourn at 7:22.
Special meeting to order. Don't have my gavel, that'll work. All right, I will call the roll. Ms. Zorb? Ms. Dukestein?
Present.
Ms. Alexander?
Present.
Mr. Wilson?
Present.
Mr. Davis?
Here.
Ms. Underwood?
Here.
All right, you have tonight's agenda.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood?
I move that we accept the agenda.
Mr. President,
Mr. Wilson?
second that motion.
Motion by Ms. Underwood to accept tonight's agenda, seconded by Mr. Wilson. Any discussion?
Mr. President,
Ms. Dukestein?
never mind.
All right, I will call the roll. Ms. Dukestein?
Yes.
Ms. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Ms. Underwood?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0. Okay. This special meeting is called for legislation. This is for a second reading. Resolution number 9, 2024, a resolution to authorize the mayor to execute a collective bargaining agreement between the City of North College Hill and Public Works Employees Bargaining Unit, AFS-CME, Ohio Council 8, Local 1093.
Mr. President,
Ms. Dukestein?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood?
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Ms. Dukestein, second by Ms. Underwood to adjourn this special meeting. Any discussion? I will call the roll. Ms. Dukestein?
Yes.
Ms. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Ms. Underwood?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0. This meeting is adjourned. Good evening. We'll call this special meeting of North College Hill City Council to order. I will call the roll. Ms. Zorb? Ms. Dukes-Dean?
Present.
Ms. Alexander?
Here.
Mr. Wilson?
Present.
Mr. Davis?
Here.
Ms. Underwood?
Here.
All right, we have tonight's agenda.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood?
I move that we accept the agenda as presented.
Mr. President,
Mr. Wilson?
I second that.
Motion by Ms. Underwood, second by Mr. Wilson to accept the agenda as presented. Any discussion? I'll call the roll. Ms. Dukes-Dean?
Yes.
Ms. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Ms. Underwood?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0. All right, purpose of this meeting is to conduct a third reading of Resolution Number 9, 2024, a resolution to authorize the mayor to execute a collective bargaining agreement between the City of North College Hill and Public Works Employees Bargaining Unit, AFSCME, Ohio Council 8, Local 1093.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood?
I move that we adopt ordinance, what was that? 9, 2020,
Resolution.
Resolution 9, 2024.
Mr. President,
Ms. Dukes-Dean?
I'd like to second that.
All right. Motion by Ms. Underwood, second by Ms. Dukes-Dean to adopt Resolution 9, 2024. Any discussion?
Mr. President,
Ms. Dukes-Dean?
I would just like to remind council that we agreed to move this resolution to council floor, and we learned in the process of moving it that we had 30 days to make a decision regarding it, or we will default to the original bargaining agreement that we had several conversations and it is modified. So that's why we had to have an expedited second and special meeting, 2 special meetings to get the second and third reading on the agenda.
Any other discussion? All right, the motion on the floor is to adopt Resolution 9, 2024. That motion was made by Ms. Underwood and seconded by Ms. Dukes-Dean. I will call the roll. Ms. Dukes-Dean?
Yes.
Ms. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Ms. Underwood?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood?
I move that we adjourn this meeting.
Mr.
Mr. Pre-
President,
I got Mr. Wilson.
I second that.
All right, motion by Ms. Underwood to adjourn, second by Mr. Wilson. Any discussion? I will call the roll. Ms. Dukes-Dean?
Yes.
Ms. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Ms. Underwood?
Yes.
That motion passes 5-0. We are adjourned.
officially 7:50, and we are starting our budget and finance meeting. I have the agenda up. First on the agenda for today is our finance update from our finance manager, and she went to use the bathroom and send me these documents electronically that you have in front of you. But she and I have talked thoroughly, so I can kind of start on where we are with some of this. I'll give general updates, and I'll let her go through what the paperwork represents. I can tell you that in front of you, you have the 2025 tax budget, which is really good. I know that we're working with Robin. We brought her back. I'm saying that because Mr. Mosby's in the audience, and I'm not sure if he had that update, but we're working with Robin to get the Hinkle report filed. We are super, super, super close. Robin was on vacation, and there was a delay in her ability to, correspond with us. So that is the only reason that we don't already have it filed. So we should have it filed probably next week, if not later this week. And then with the Hinkle, we have the tax budget. Ms. Anderson worked really hard to make sure that we got that. I know that there was some issues with having the revenues because we had not had an electronic version of the more recent revenues to be able to compile the tax budget, but she was able to look through and find what she needed through a couple of different sources, and it looks like she has a revenue report here. And then the other thing is the June and July monthly report. So if you remember, we were having some issues closing out month end for June, so we didn't deliver June. So we're catching up for June and then also doing July in the month of August. And on that note, I will let Ms. Anderson go through our documents. Were you able to send it to me electronically?
I did.
Okay, perfect. While
Madam Chair,
she's, yes,
May I be excused for just a moment?
sure. We'll continue. Okay. And then I'll get the documents up. Which one are you going to talk about first?
Well, there's not much to discuss with the Hinkle, the tax budget. I will explain that one and then briefly do the bank rec for June and July.
Okay.
Are we waiting on someone?
You can go ahead and get started.
Okay.
I'm just getting the documents that you sent me up.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so as everyone knows, the Hinkle report that was due December of 2023 was not filed. We did, however, get an extension. Our extension is up, and we are very close to filing for the 2023 Hinkle report. The only thing that was missing that's holding us up is a few deposits that weren't put into CMI. Not to be too specific, but they were some deposits that came into the bank that weren't put into CMI. So that's just a little bit of the holdup, but I do plan on I've located the deposits. It's just a matter of reconciling them to the bank statements, and then the Hinkle report will be completed and ready to report. The 2025 tax budget, I did give you the summary page for the 2025 budget. If you have it in front of you, we can all go through it line by line.
I'm getting it up too.
Okay, and if you don't, there is a copy on the back table.
For citizens as well.
Yes. Okay.
So let me turn the documents around. Summer months are always challenging. We've all taking a vacation, so we are trying to recover from days out of the office, and we're a little behind on getting documents. So that's why we're kind of, but we have them. So, okay, so what are you working from?
We're going to start with the summary page. It says 2025 tax budget year fund summary.
Okay.
This is not an exhaustive report. This is just a summary. The entire report will be filed with the Hamilton County Auditor's Office. So beginning with column 1.
You can't
where
see it.
Where you see the general fund, we have the beginning balance. So what we will be going over is the beginning balance, then the estimated revenues, and the proposed expenses, and then the ending balance. Again, this is just a summary. As you can see, the ending balance for 2025 should put us at just about where we started. I do have some notes in the column there. Because our office is catching up on entries, some of the entries that were put into CMI, you'll see is either over or under according to the budget calculations. That's just a matter of moving them from one fund to the other. So where it was estimated, revenues or expenses, if it's a little off, then I have my notes on the side as to why that might be. So for streets, I think I don't have a note there, but that might be a little bit under for right now, because we're estimating the revenues to be in at it just a little bit over or just under 600,000, and the expenses to be just a little under that. We don't have any revenues beginning for the 204 fund.
You said which fund?
The 204.
Senior citizens.
Senior citizens.
Yes, there's no revenues. And I also included, just for your reference, a packet of information that actually breaks it down by the fund. Going down the line where you see general fund, I have included all of those reports for those funds.
Is that attached?
It is attached. So what you're able to do is to go through and to just balance or check my numbers.
Okay, this is the first page in our packet.
It is, but that's for 201, isn't that correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
I also included the general fund, which is 101. It just didn't get
That's the two-page
stapled.
one.
It just didn't get stapled together. Yeah, there's the 101. So when you get to the bottom of the page, you'll see that there is a year-to-date receipts column.
So 101
Is everything.
is everything,
Yeah.
101, okay.
And this is where I'm getting my data. So year-to-date receipts matches the beginning balance. That's as of today.
So that, I just want to take note. She said as of today.
Correct. That is as of today. All of my beginning balances are as of today. I can only give you actuals. So these are 2024 actuals, and it's projecting 2025 numbers.
You tell me when you want to go to the next sheet. I'm Vanna Black.
So we are now at streets. And again, I have included that street fund number, 201. It corresponds with that line. We have received 126,8487 so far this year. And if everything goes according to the projection, the revenues coming in is 581 and the expenses are 509,340, leaving 198,506.
Can you tell me where the breakdown is for streets? I'm sorry.
That's on line 201. And are you talking about the report?
Mm-hmm.
So on the report, I've taken the year-to-date receipts.
Okay.
Sorry? So that might be something that comes in that doesn't actually have a line item, but we do have to receipt it. We receipt everything.
What are the miscellaneous reimbursements?
I couldn't tell you exactly what that is, because when it comes in, if I don't have a line item for it, then it goes in miscellaneous receipts. But that is the deposit that we received for $473.12 that did not fit into any of the other line items. Therefore, it was miscellaneous. For this fund, for 201.
I don't see it in here. It may not be in the electronic version.
Yeah, it's the last line item
Yes,
It should be the very first page.
yeah.
of 201.
Oh, here we go. I
Second
saw
page.
it. I saw it just then. Sorry. There you go.
Okay.
I kept, my eyes weren't chiming in.
So you're not going to get detailed reports. These are fund balance reports. They're month to date or year to date. Okay, so we go to 204, which is senior citizens. We have, as you can see, they're all zeros. We have not gotten, or at least we have not receipted any funds to that fund, any monies to that fund. The estimated revenues, I actually kept that from 2024 because I have no history on it. So I didn't want to remove it. But if we get any monies in right around that, it looks like historically we might get in revenues that we also expensed out. So I just left that. For the court computer fund, as you can see, is grossly.
Could you go back to 204? I'm sorry.
Sure.
204 that's the senior citizen levy, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so in the past, the reason you don't have that
Uh-huh.
is because that money would be, at one time, would have been sent directly to the nonprofit that was taken care of. So that nonprofit no longer exists, so now that money is back.
Is it?
Is it? I mean, where's it at? Because she don't got nothing in
It's in
here.
your checking account. It's in your checking account because it's a levy, and that levy money is given us twice a year.
Excuse me? He's explaining.
He said it should be back into.
So
the
he's explaining why the line item is there and why it's empty.
Okay.
Because in the past, we would give that money just directly, a check to the nonprofit, but that nonprofit no longer exists.
So back in jail.
Right.
Okay,
move
so
to-
moving on to 208, I can say that that is definitely over funded, there's an over entry there. And it's a matter of moving it from the incorrect fund into the right fund. So as you can see, the money is there. However, it looks like it's been receipted to the wrong fund. And I say that because revenues are slated for 1,000 and expenses are slated for 1,000. So typically, there's no receipts. It's usually a wash historically. But as I pulled my report today, I can only report what's actually in CMI, and this is where it is right now.
And the one vehicle, this is
The court computer. We still looking at 208, right?
but it also includes forfeitures.
So when I pull a detailed report for that fund, it will tell me what all came in. There should be what we call a description line item, and I'm able to take that information and move it into the correct fund. So as you can see, these are summaries of the amounts that have come into these funds, but on a detailed level, I'll be able to go in and see where they actually should be before we get an audit. These monies should be placed into the correct fund. It's just important to me that you know that we have the money, and that also I'm aware that they need to be moved into the right fund.
So by giving monthly reports, well, this is a tax, but you're getting the progress. So it's not going to be easy. It's fluid. It's always moving. It's always changing. She's giving updates so that we know where she's going, what her plans are, where we are now. You know, in the past, when we had not been receiving monthly reports, it was always, it's not clean. We don't care if it's not clean. We would just want to know where we are, and this is the right thing to do on a monthly basis. But this particular document is in reference to the tax budget. But I just wanted to let you know, anything in finance is always going to be super fluid.
Correct. And we move to the 211 fund, which to date has the 109, 557. I do believe that there are more funds, again, that should be in that fund. That's where some of the general fund, which is extremely overinflated, may have those funds, and I'll just be moving those back over to the 211 per legislation.
Should that be in the beginning balance when you say it should be in that fund?
It should be in the beginning balance,
Okay.
correct.
What are the miscellaneous reimbursements?
Again, that's the question you asked before.
Right, but it's for fire, that's specifically for the fire fund.
Yeah, each fund should have, may have a miscellaneous line item. It may or it may not, depending on what revenue it is. So it's possible that we may get funds in for a particular fund that doesn't have a designation or is not designated to a particular fund line item, so it goes into miscellaneous.
Do we know where those funds come from?
I can pull a detailed report, and I know exactly where all the funds come in. This is a summary.
So 2 reasons why that happens. One is, Ms. Kirton, just to address the 2 reasons why that would happen. So say, for instance, we got random funds in for whatever reason, and there's not a specific place to put it, it would go there. So she's just saying why the line item is there so that you know.
Correct.
What I'm specifically asking is it related to fire or should it be on the general GU?
No, that particular one is related to fire.
Correct.
So any funds that came in as it relates to fire or vice versa would be there. Yes.
Yes. You may not see a miscellaneous line item in every fund, but where there is a lot of funds that come in like that, there could be a miscellaneous line item. DUI looks to be right on schedule for where it should be in terms of receipts. We got the $353 in. Revenues were, last year there was budgeted for 200 and proposed expenses is 407.
So, what is the DUI from? What is?
Yes, what specifically, what is
That is-
DUI?
What is
So-
the DUI fund?
Chief Cheney put us back in, like, they do it, there's a state DUI task force. Chief Cheney mentioned that we hadn't been participating, and we joined back in this year, I believe, in June. And
So this for the
Well,
task force?
there is no state DUI task force since it's not DUI. The law is OVI.
OVI, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he did say that. He said that actually at Ms. DeWalt's public safety meeting when she was still here. But it's, he talked about us getting reinstated or rejoining back because we had not previously been doing it in the past. He wasn't sure why, but that was something that they reinstated, and he talked about setting those processes up so that we could get these kickbacks.
Thank you. Okay, so waste collection again looks like it definitely looks like it's one of the funds that might be over an over entry for that. So there are some audits that I will need to do, but I just do want to be transparent enough to say that these funds are, although we have them, they just may be into the wrong fund. 301, the police levy is underfunded.
You said it's underfunded?
Yes, meaning that there were probably, as I do an audit, I will probably find that there are some receipts that should be going into that fund that have not gone into that fund.
So basically, we got some money that's supposed to be in a account that ain't there.
And what has happened is it's in one of the other ones that's overfunded.
Okay. So it's there, we just ain't got it in the right account.
Correct. And as Ms. Dukestein stated, when I'm presenting every month, you'll see that these funds will be corrected and balanced out. I work together with the department heads, and with the tax budget coming up, you'll see that the numbers will be closely more in line with where they should be.
What date is that, Ms. Anderson?
Excuse me?
What date is that? This audit, all these corrections you said you had to make before a certain time?
No, not by for a certain time, but
Okay.
certainly before the 2025
Okay.
budget.
Oh, okay.
Everything should land in its
Before the
proper place
budget.
before the budget, correct.
I thought that we had ARPA funds. This is zero across. Am I reading that incorrectly?
ARPA funds, you're looking at a snapshot
Right.
of the funds. So when the monies came in, that may not be in this particular period. The ARPA funds may have come in a previous period where I did not pull a report for. And that may be last year.
It is my understanding the city has.
It is for last year.
Funds since 2020, since COVID.
So what she's saying, for clarity, is the ARPA funds, this is 2024. This is the
Correct.
period. If you look at the top, it says August 12th. And so she pulled the report for ARPA. ARPA funds are, those funds for that we received thus far were for 2023.
Correct.
We haven't even began to apply for the 2024 availability of ARPA.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm asking, why does it say zero?
Because we haven't, this is not from that time frame. We got ARPA funds for 2023, so you would see that on a report from 2023, not 2024.
Yeah, this is not a running report. This is a report for year-to-date 2024.
So we haven't received them funds yet,
We haven't even applied.
Not in 2024.
not for 2024. For 2023, we have, but.
If I were to
24
run a
we have.
report for 2023, you would see the balance.
Right. That's why,
But be-
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I thought the ARPA was intended for a certain time period.
It is 2023, which is why we have to have the funds encumbered by the end of this year, because they are actually, we didn't even receive them in 2024, but they were applied for and received on behalf of the 2023 year. So that stays within the 2023 budget. That's not brought forward. That's the reason why they have a deadline in which the funds have to be encumbered, which is part of why, and specifically, we're talking about the police. This is police, right?
yes.
Okay, well, truth. So I'll defer my example to fire. That's part of the consideration for the MOU for both part-time and full-time fire, because those new MOUs that's part of the encumberment for fire.
correct.
Just so I can make sure, are you saying North College Hill did not apply for ARPA funds for the 2024 fiscal year?
Not yet.
Yet.
Not yet.
Because we had still been trying to secure the funds for 2023. There was requested paperwork from ARPA that was needed in order to make sure, like, we had been granted the funds and then they were asking for other items to transfer the funds over. And if you will remember, that was a part of some of the fire and debacle between administration. And so we have finally, if you're hearing correctly, what you should be hearing is we've made that progress. We've got those funds. We were able to, since that, move past that, provide the necessary paperwork to ARPA for those funds to be released. So now they are diligently, I'm pretty sure they're working on 2024.
Correct. Let's see, we're moving into the 302 fund. And there are much more funds there than the ratio of revenues to expenses, so that tells me that it's also overfunded. The street levy, looks like we should have been placing more funds into the street levy. The city center doesn't show any revenue.
We're on 302, right?
Yes.
We're on 402.
Now we're on
We're on 402
I kind of
now?
ran through it, yeah.
Okay.
City Center,
And the storm water
502.
is about where it is, so I didn't make any note on that. And then you have the inactive funds so if you see the balances down at the bottom, our ending balance isn't very far off from our beginning balance.
Ms. Anderson,
Yes.
when you say inactive funds, can you explain that? Like, I'm seeing the forfeiture funds. What exactly do you mean? What's going on with that? We no longer have those line items? Is
We
that
have
what
the line items, the monies just can't be, they are inactive funds, they have not been being used, and unless I know what the purposes of the funds are,
They're
I
just
can't
sitting there.
use a fund if I don't know what it's designated for. So it remains inactive.
Okay, but it's still just sitting there?
It's sitting there,
Okay,
correct.
gotcha.
Can you provide clarification of the differentiation between the ARPA on 301 and the ARPA on 302?
So each department, 301 and 302, can apply for ARPA funds, and when they are, those funds come in, they are receipted to their departments.
And they did receive their ARPA funds differently. So fire was ahead of the curve at applying, and then when fire got finished with their ARPA funds and trying to navigate the process, it's a process. It's government money. They helped police to file their stuff.
Correct. So each department can file for their own ARPA funds from the bucket, and the general fund just is not as up to date in their filing for it as the police and fire are.
So there were funds in the ARPA fund for the police maybe last year?
So they
If
applied. They applied.
So
They received the funds. I'm not sure if they've gotten the checks, not. Fire always says, we got the check, but not to say that police
Police
has done
too.
anything wrong, but they don't necessarily let me know that, which
Yeah,
is not
Police is
necessary.
on top of theirs too.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they've done anything wrong.
Yeah.
I see faces kind of moving. Just because they got help doesn't mean that they didn't do anything wrong. They're
Yeah.
it's a difficult process, and there's lots of paperwork, and we should be helping each other out.
Exactly.
Just one more quick question. Who actually helps the chiefs out with this process?
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Prior to her arrival, as it looks like a lot of this data would have occurred prior to her onboarding. So,
They were providing the paperwork in 2024, but the funds were for 2023. She was here and helping them.
Correct.
And who was helping them before that? That was the city administrator and the previous city administrator, and that was some of the debacle and the things that we were facing.
so just to clarify, Jennifer Eakey, the former city administrator, assists the fire department in this 271K of ARPA wellness.
No.
That's incorrect.
That is incorrect.
Okay, then can you clarify who helped the fire get their ARPA funds?
Ms. Anderson.
Ms. Anderson, not Ms. Eakey.
That's correct.
So what I heard you say the first time was who was responsible for helping, and I was answering that question.
Okay, understood.
I didn't want there to be any misunderstanding.
Yep, uh-huh.
And we did not have a finance person at that time.
That concludes
So
this report. I'm sorry. If you have any questions? Yes. Mhm.
So am I to understand that
Mr. Mosby,
You have to come to the mic.
can you go to the microphone?
State your address, your location. We need your blood type.
Ron Mosby, 711 Clovernut. I just had a question about
Yes.
the tax budget.
Yes,
So that has not been passed by council yet?
it has not. This is the public hearing.
Okay, and then, okay, so it will be roughly submitted at,
I asked for an extension, and that is till the 20th of August.
oh, okay,
The
so
20th.
it's gonna have to be
Quickly,
passed? Okay.
yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. Mosby, you weren't here, and just in general, we had, there are other things that we needed to catch up on, hence Hinkle, before we could get to tax budget. So we did know that it would be delayed. We've been keeping council and those who attend the meetings up to date on that process. So that's why I was happy to announce we're here. We're getting there. We're still a little bit off schedule, but getting there. And now and in that, I want you to know, Ms. Anderson joined us, what is it, April?
Yes, it was the beginning of April.
Mm-hmm. And we're in August. And so this was, she's done a phenomenal job of getting us where we need to be so
Thank you.
we know we're behind, and we've talked about we're in a better shape for 2024
Correct.
than we were for 2023, because it's a little hard to work backwards. But she's been doing really, really good at working backwards to get things covered that weren't covered, and to keep in line things for 2024. So next year this time, we won't have the same issues. And I want you to hold us to that. Yeah, we know. No, just joking. Okay. Where else do you want to go?
I just want to briefly discuss the June and the July monthly report for the.
Okay. And is that is it
Yes.
best to put me on the
Correct.
it's
I don't know if you
it's
can see
smaller
it.
than I would hope, but
Yeah.
at least you have something
Yeah.
visually.
Well, and
My
and
eyes are good, but
the only thing I really want to point out is that there are, again, we're still, the finance department is still catching up on a lot of entries. But the good news is our bank balance is much higher than what our finance software reports. So we're in a good place. We're not at a deficit. We're just having to catch up on some receipts. I have not found all of the receipts. I've had a hard time trying to get on certain mailing lists for what deposits are and where they're coming from. So my challenge has been to locate all of our revenues, all of our receipts, and to get them entered into CMI, so that both of the numbers that you're seeing on the bank statement matches CMI. So you're going to see, and there is a note there each month. I'm going, if I can't get it to balance to the penny, you will see an explanation as to why. And I know that the writing is a bit small, but the adjusting entry applies to additional revenue transactions that are in transit. So the bank statement will give me everything that has occurred, all of the activity and transactions that has occurred in the month, and CMI will show me the difference between what's encumbered and what's posted and what's yet to show up in the balance in CMI.
so in layman's terms, I just like to say what she's essentially saying is we're not, all the receipts have not been attached. And so we are seeing a difference between our financial software, which is what we use here now as CMI, and the bank reconciliation. This is the actual amount in our account. However, that's a good thing that as we reconcile receipts, that we're not in the negative. So we're in the positive. It's much easier to go forward and, make our CMI match our bank reconciliations when you're not looking for deficits.
Absolutely.
So again, when I say we're making progress, I'm giving these updates, one, because they're required, but two, you should be gathering in these that we are significantly making some forward progress. We're not there yet, but that we cannot get there overnight. And so she's done a really good job of making sure that she's keeping us in line and up to date at where we are. And I think I'm going to just say, I think part of some of the issue in the past was they were afraid to deliver because they didn't want us to see exactly these things that are not in line perfectly, but it doesn't matter. We have to see it. Okay.
Correct.
So now can we move to June? July.
July, absolutely. Absolutely. The same thing goes for July.
Is there any questions? Because I do leave my,
I have papers. Well, I only spent 6.
I'll stay here just
Oh,
in case.
yeah, the bank
there are-
rec, oh, sorry. Yeah, the requisition. I only printed 6 for council.
No, that's fine. I have it electronically. I can see it here and I can see it there, so he can have my. But it looks like he's looking like this, which means he can't see. I'll move on to July and let you explain July. And if there are any questions for June, you can go back.
Okay. So what I start off with is the bank statement. And then I balance that against the general ledger balance. So as you can see, beginning already, we've got more in the bank than we do in CMI. So that tells me that we're missing some deposits again. We have deposits in transit of $661,798. And there were some wire transfers and credits and bank interest that was put into CMI. So there is a difference. When you look at the ACH transactions and the checks, you'll see that there is an amount that's still needing to be credited to the CMI side, not the bank side. And that is in my note under B. A and C was not applicable, but I have an adjustment entry for B that says that we're still putting in some deposits, some revenue in CMI. But we're in good standing with the bank. So what-
Questions?
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Ms. Anderson. Can you clarify how many months out of this fiscal year have been off between the ACHs and the
Excuse,
checks?
Ms. Carrington, can you please step up to the mic? Yes, ma'am. We have people in the audience that's listening.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Carrington.
Kathy Curitan, 6718 Devonwood Drive. My pleasure, Mr. Wilson. Ms. Anderson, can you clarify how many months out of the fiscal year have there been differentiations between the ACHs and check deposits?
It's been every month.
What about for
We're
2023?
still catching up on reconciling accounts.
Let me ask it this way. Is there a significant variation every month?
Not a significant variation. and
Over-
I'll tell you,
100,000, 200,000?
yes, over that.
500,000?
I'll tell you why.
Okay.
It's because there are deposits that come into the city that I am yet aware of. So I have to locate the deposits. I have to have myself onto the mailing list for those deposits. It's like I'm looking for money. So I know that we have it coming in, but I just don't know where. And I need to not only find the sources of those revenues that are coming into the bank, and then I have to put them to the right fund line item. So
Okay.
that's what's occurring, is that monies are coming in to the bank,
Mhm.
and then each month, as I look at the bank statement, and if I don't have an explanation for this deposit, then I have to go looking for it.
And could it be because we have updated software? So do you still have access to the old software?
So the software hasn't anything to do with it, because we're getting
Okay.
deposits every month.
Got it.
So as those deposits are coming in,
Okay.
some may say RSLI, and I don't know what that stands for.
And
So-
how do you, what's your discovery
so
process?
My discovery process is actually to go back and look at historically. I'm real big on pulling up reports. I pull up revenue reports for per year, per month, and I look and see what's coming in. And if I can match that description, or if I can match that date, I'm looking for data constantly. And so we know that more money is not going out than should be.
Mm-hmm.
More money's coming in that I'm not aware of. So it's my job to find it.
And just to ask one last question for additional clarification, are these checks being made out to the city of North College Hill? Are they directed to a person's name?
Absolutely, they come into
There.
the city, into our general bank account.
Just to clarify,
Yeah.
I'm talking about a deposited check because that image is always made available.
So it's not a check. ACH deposits don't have a paper trail.
Okay, I thought I heard you say there is a differentiation between the ACHs and the checks. The balance is off. That's not true.
No, I can.
But
trace
how
the
they're
check.
deposited are not the same. So if I give you a paper check, you take it to the bank, that's one way. But if I deposit money directly to your routing in your bank account, that's a different way.
There's no
Got it.
no paper trail for that. I
No paper
have
trail.
to find it. I have to go out at large and find it.
Okay, thank you.
And so just to clarify, one thing is, so she is looking back for historical, just like to see where the similar deposits are in previous years, months. But those are the kind of things that happen when you have someone who gives a notice and then she comes in and they help her with kind of
Yes.
those big items. Because we didn't have any, because of what has been going on in our city's employment, she doesn't have a reference
Correct.
of someone that she can go to kind of
There was no turnover of the files. Like,
yes.
here's
so
the legend.
she's searching
Check
just
history.
on her
Right.
own experience of
Gotcha.
having done this
Right.
for cities
Look.
prior to us. And so I just wanted to make sure that that's what you understand why she is having some challenges finding some things. Yes, and so, and Mr. Mosby's here, he can vouch for the fact it's not going to be straight every day, every month. You know, there are going to be some things.
Yeah.
It's, yes. Yes, please.
Please.
Sandy Ficker, 6790 Richard Avenue. Will this information here, there, be eventually put on the website for citizens to look at?
I'm not opposed to that. If that's something that's especially been historically done, that's something that I want to continue.
Okay.
That transparency for the
Yeah.
city.
Do you know what point, pardon?
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
When you say that, what information are you asking about? Because there's a difference between the Ohio Open Checkbook and the information that she's talking about here. The Ohio Open Checkbook, and that's why I wanted to make sure that I knew what you were talking about, is those checks that are written are put into the system, could be put.
And
into
that's
the system.
confidential.
No, those are public records.
Oh,
but
okay.
it's only the checks.
Well,
It's
no,
only the checks.
I don't want specifics, but like you said, you've only been working since April. Will there be a point that this will be available to the citizens of North College Hill? I mean, because obviously nobody's here, I mean, to see all her work.
Well, from a monthly a report, at each of these monthly meetings, I'm going to be presenting these same kinds of reports, which will show the balances are now
Okay.
landing where they should be.
So, but is it on our website, North College Hill? We can click on a tab, the financial, all the.
Typically the records, and so,
Yeah.
Mr. Dean, you can confirm this, but.
Because I have no
Before,
idea what you're talking
any-
about with the Ohio checks,
Yeah,
or,
that's
I
why
have no
wanted to be
idea.
clear. That's why I wanted to make sure I knew
Yeah.
what you were talking about, but these
No,
records
yeah.
that are submitted are typically put in by the clerk of council.
Okay.
And they're put in as official minutes, and they are on the,
Oh.
they're on the website.
In the minutes? of meetings?
If you take a seat, I can answer. Or are you finished? I'm not trying to be rude. I just
No,
want to make
no,
sure.
no.
I'll be
want-
able to answer, but I just can't. I want to make sure I speak into the lectern. So if you're, you can continue if you
Well,
need
no,
to.
I'm just saying, what you said about this is normally in the minutes?
These are part of the official
Minutes, yeah.
I've never seen this kind of information.
Because we haven't gotten
I
them
know we
regularly.
haven't had a
We
financial
haven't gotten them.
person
Yeah,
in
we
the
haven't
past,
gotten
but
it,
Ms. Alexander?
I've never seen anything like this
Neither have I.
on our website.
Well, first of all, what you have, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, I'm sorry, but it's just, there's,
No, what you have, there
yeah.
is the text, okay? That has to be voted, and that's in the official evidence, and that is put into the file.
Fine.
Yes.
But when this is all complete, finished, voted on, or whatever that you're saying, it'll be available to the public?
Yes.
North College, okay, that's
Not
all
through
I.
a not through a records request, but through
Yeah.
actual publication, that's the question.
Yes, so
No,
there's
I
a couple
mean-
of ways where it's available to the public. So the actual document will be in the minutes for each council meeting when it's voted on. We're at the point of committee meeting where we're discussing it. Those committee meetings are also on the website. You can get through them through the website, and you can watch from start to finish. I go back and watch them. I reevaluate how I answer questions, who asked what might be the purpose. So I know if I can do it, you guys can do it. The actual documents are handed over, the minutes are handed over to Christian Hedger, and the supporting documents are added with that. And then if you will remember in Ms. Underwood's committee, we talked about there has been a glitch that Christian Hedger is facing. So the more recent documents are not up, but he's working through that to get them up, but they will be up. I have submitted up to all of, I didn't submit July. And that's because we had 2 meetings in July. Ms. Azorb is my note taker, and she has not yielded over the minutes for the July 8th meeting and the July 15th meeting.
So when these come out, general information about our finances will be on the minutes.
So you're asking a different question now. What you asked first time was, are these documents going to be here? Is this information is going to be here? The answer to that is yes, it will be included in the minutes. General information, any development of this information will be going over to council floor. Any legislation provided with this information will be voted on, and those minutes will be attached to council meetings on the ICRC and the minute documentation. You can see that both on the website.
I don't think my question really answered, but I understand what you're saying.
What are you asking? Say it one more time.
Okay, from what I understand what you just said,
Ms. Baker, just grab this mic right here.
Please,
sorry?
You can grab
Go
this
to the mic.
Right here.
Oh.
Yes, ma'am, it's on.
let's turn around.
That the minutes from council meetings, okay, this financial information on a monthly basis will be included.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay, but okay, then I'm wrong. I didn't understand it. But my question is, going forward, since Ms. Anderson has put a lot of work into this and finally has balanced or accumulated a lot of financial information, will this be available for North College Hill residents to see?
So the way that availability happens is through these meetings. We're obligated to record these meetings and post the documents that are talked about in these meetings. Other than that, there is no other provision for documents.
That answers my question.
So I think we were missing, so once the documents and the conversations happen here, what is decided with these documents, the legislation that is drawn, that goes to council floor, and then you can follow that on council, anything that's connected to council, the minutes and the ICRC recordings.
So the minutes from this meeting?
Committee meeting.
Tonight.
This is not a
Committee
council
meeting.
This is
This
committee.
information will be with the minutes, correct?
Yes.
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 Got it.
Yep.
But in general, in the future, going forward, there will be no way for people to access on the website what is North College Hill doing financially?
This is the way that you access that.
Through the
So,
budget meetings?
through the budget meetings
And the minutes.
and the minutes
Okay.
and all the documents
Okay.
that are attached to
Thank
this
you.
meeting.
Yeah.
Yes, so I think, I can see where you're going, is wanting to keep residents updated. And I will tell you, what is delivered here is efficient to understand where we are. If you connect to it and read through it, if you have any questions, that's what these meetings are for. That's why it used to be that committee meetings citizens weren't able to talk. They had to do that. I opened this specific meeting up for dialogue so that citizens can have a greater understanding. We talked about, we have an email where people can also pose questions.
Right.
That's still available as well. But I would tell you the best space for questions and answers is actually attending Budget and Finance, because we can address the questions right away and we can understand, like you and I were able to go back and forth and kind of get to the nit-grit of what you were hoping for.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Okay.
Introduce myself again. Ron Mosby, 7118 Cliff Nook.
I ain't hear that. I'm sorry, I ain't hear that.
He already gave his address.
Okay, but I wanted to address, if I could, just for a moment, Ms. Curtin's question. And so, Ms. Anderson, I actually appreciate it. I actually appreciate what she's doing. And just as an explanation, Ms. Ficker, the same thing. When monies come into our bank, you can either have them by check or electronic transfer, right? But the electronic transfers that come in from a variety of places. Some come from the state of Ohio, some come from the county, others could come from other locations. And they're coming in on a daily basis. And so we don't have a staff that is just sitting down, just looking at what receipts are coming in. So no, the reason I'm just pointing this out is because when she gets it at the end of the month, she's going to have to go through and say, okay, where is this coming from? Like, for example, and there is no guide for it. For example, one of the things that we get are reimbursements for EMS runs, but they come in under a particular code. So you have to know what that code is in order to do it. If you don't, you have to try to find it. It comes in as a warrant, but if you don't know what that is, and if you don't know where to find out, it takes a little bit of time. So I do think I'm very appreciative that she's here, and we do just need to give it some time. I think the really important thing, Ms. Dukes-Dean, you said, which I'm really glad, is that you actually have to look at what money is sitting in the bank statement, which is $7.8 million, and that's, if you had been here a few years ago, we were barely over $1 million. So we have made huge strides in order to bring ourselves back up to a good financial condition. So I did want to say thank you.
And so to piggyback on what Mr. Mosby's saying, you actually never hear me say, we used to have this, we have this, because, and I intentionally avoid that. The reason I do that is because it makes it seem like we have all this money to spend, and we don't. We have priorities that we need to take care of. And that's what we're doing. We're doing a little bit of evaluating salaries, a little bit of bargaining. We have contracts yet to come. We still have a fire levy to get through. We still have buildings to repair. And so that's why we're in a better space, and I'm trying to keep the momentum and for the explanations out there. That's why I opened it up for dialogue and conversation, so that people can have more clear understanding that we are absolutely moving in the right direction in every way possible. But I want you to gather that by giving you information and not me just forcing it on you. So that's that. With that being said, and I have to unplug my computer because I have other stuff on here, and I'm sure you guys don't want to know all my business.
Ms. Anderson, thank you for this report. This is
excellent.
Thank you
we've
so
been
much, Ms.
meeting
Anderson.
for so very long.
Thank you.
And
Where's my thanks?
It's clear.
No, I'm just joking.
I'm coming around the room.
I'm just joking. She's
But thank
done
you.
great.
Thank you for your patience.
I'm glad you found them missing dollars.
Okay.
And thank you, Arias.
No,
for
I
presenting.
promise you.
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
I'm not looking for anything. I was
No,
just
you
joking.
deserve it. Thank you.
You have cleared up a lot. You did. Yeah, appreciate your presence.
So the part-time fire MOU, this has been back on. I did not send you this document because if you will remember, there was an amount that we agreed to per Mr. Dieters. And when that document got sent to me from from Mr. Dieter's office, and I sent it over to Christian Hedger and Mike Graver via email, it's now been on the document for first reading. But those numbers did not represent the numbers that we agreed to, meaning that Mr. Dieters entered into a bargaining agreement with ASFME and the representatives there. I personally was not present. We talked about, I can reference a conversation we had in an executive session. We specifically talked about specific numbers. Mm-hmm. If you remember it was our July 15th meeting, and we went into executive session because we didn't want to do any bargaining opening. Mm-hmm. On open council floor. And so when we went back there, we talked about those numbers. But that was tentative because only Mr. Dieters was in there. That needed to follow up with a conversation with ASFME and the parties that work on the bargaining agreement. And so when the document came back to me, it did not have the appropriate numbers on there. So this is back on the agenda to tell you all that we've noticed that. We've gotten the document with the appropriate numbers, and you will see an amended document sent over to council floor, but it is what we originally agreed. But I wanted to be transparent with you about what that happens, because you will easily be able to go back and look at the packet that Mr. Hedger sent out and look at the new documents and say, hey, where does this number difference? I want you to have the information ahead of time instead of somebody saying, hey, you're trying to slip one under us. That's not it. It will be an amended piece of information, and I'll send that out to you all. And then the city building update. I don't know.
Madam Chair,
Oh, yes.
you have city building update / splash pad, but I really just want my colleagues to consider that the splash pad is probably, we need to just, maybe we can consider a swimming pool instead of a splash pad. The splash pad would be geared more towards younger kids, whereas a swimming pool would be geared more towards like older, like everybody in the community can enjoy that. And you can have like a little area at the swimming pool that has little splash things for little kids. And, you know, it doesn't have to be acres and acres of land. We can use that exact same space that we were considering using anyway. Mount Healthy has a beautiful swimming pool, and it's not like huge or anything. It is completely something I believe that we can do. And it's, you know, so I would just ask everybody to consider that instead of us paying, you know, millions of dollars for some splash things for just a small segment of our community. Maybe we can do something for the entire community.
So this is my fault. Please keep Ms. Underwood's comments in your head, but I did skip over one that we desperately need to talk about, and that's the CDBG projects. And that's the $55,000 grant money. So I had a further conversation with Ms. Clear about those funds. And it is our responsibility to figure out or to come up with things that we can talk about. She sent an email out, I believe everybody was on it, about the projects. Mr. Davis also talked about like the trash cans. So I need the top two. of what we can work on. I'm going to tell you from my honest perspective, I think we need to start talking about, because this building also has a leak. This is our actual functioning building. And it may not be able to go for, it actually can go for that building down there. So she has sent it out saying, no, it can't go because it is, it has asbestos abatement on there. And then she said that it cannot be for government offices. But she was remiss in dealing with the fact that we have DAV there, we have Historical Society there, and we have American Legion, the Women's American Legion there. And that is open to the public, especially Historical Society. DAV you can almost walk into anytime, the hours that they're there, and same with American Legion. It's open to the public. It does qualify. She did bring up a very valid point, and I want to give her this because we talked about it in a conversation. And she said, it's like putting a coupon on groceries. You don't have money to actually buy the groceries. We haven't actually isolated funds to repair the building. So to put $55,000 of asbestos abatement on that building when we haven't clearly identified how we're going to pay for that building is a little jumping ahead of things. So,
Madam Chair.
in lieu, give me just a second, in lieu of that, we did have this building come up with a leak, and we need to pay for that. So that is one of the things that I would like to propose that we pay for. She also suggested Veterans Park, and then that's that. So Ms. Underwood, shoot. Did you have a question?
One thing that frustrates me with being on city council is getting 50 emails explaining to me why we shouldn't do something instead of giving me one way that we can do whatever we're trying to do.
So
it is extremely frustrating to me that I get, that we're getting from the recreation director who is in charge of the city building block fund grants money. I'm not really sure how that's happening, but okay. About why we can't use the money for what we want to use it for, what we need to use it for.
I shared that same frustration. So when I spoke with her, I said to her, when you asked the grant committee, when she specifically said she called, and when she asked, she said, can the monies be used for governmental offices? The answer was no. So the inclusion of the other spaces was not there. And she said, if you want to put on the application and repurpose the money based on the inclusion of those other entities being in that building for public use, you could, which means we actually could use it for that. But that then brings us to a bigger conversation, and that is using that money for that building. So we got over the hurdle that it couldn't be used. It can. It can be decided. It's not our decision. We can only submit to them what we want to use it for, and they tell us if we can or if they're going to grant it for that. So it is a qualifying space that it could be used for. But then the bigger issue becomes, we haven't solidified other funds to get that building up and running, and we also have a problem in the building that we are in. So I would like to propose, instead of focusing there, we're not dismantling the conversation about the city building, but for these specific funds, can we focus the funds on a more immediate need? That is also a immediate need, but we're in this building. We don't want this building to dilapidate to a point where we don't have a building at all. So
Madam
that's
Chair.
my proposal. Yes.
So, per a conversation that I had earlier today about this building, particularly the roof, I'm under the understanding that right now we're in conversation with our insurance to replace the roof here.
We are, which is why I said that we needed, so I did not want to say that publicly for various reasons. I can tell you after. I don't mind addressing it individually, but that's why I asked for 2 projects, so that we could have a reason to, if one doesn't work out, another one will.
Okay.
Madam Chair. Have we been given an estimate on the price to repair the senior center roof?
Yes. Senior center roof, yes.
Did Mr. Mosby have
Mr. Mosby, you have a question or a comment? I'm sorry.
All right,
Go ahead.
please step to the podium.
And this is kind of important. It actually addresses what Ms. Underwood was saying. So I did want to share with you all, because history is important. So when I did become city administrator, I attended a meeting for what were called the CDAP funds, which are the Community and Economic Development Assistance Program, where some of these monies were coming from. When I went to the meeting, I was sharply rebuked by the program manager at Hamilton County, because they had, in a previous round, they had given us CDBG dollars. Those dollars were actually supposed to be used for the senior center. It turns out that those dollars were used for the parking lot at the government center, and they were not supposed to be used for that. So I think it is important for council to know that there are restrictions on those funds and how they can be used. I'm very respectful of what you were saying, but I am telling you all, it is very important to understand. As I told you earlier, the senior center, this building used to be owned by a nonprofit. And so the county was giving that money to the city in order to give it to this organization in the building. And instead it was used for something else. So that's why I think it is very important to understand what the restrictions are on those dollars.
Madam Chair.
Which is why I want to piggyback on that. I definitely went through to make sure that, that's part of my job, to make sure that the restrictions are understood. And I'm having conversations with Ms. Clear, which is why I'm saying to you, let's talk about it. Let's put the monies towards something that fit. Yes, Ms. Underwood.
I am in complete agreement with that, but I just kind of want to, maybe it should be old business, but didn't we, council, we funded a position just for a grant writer, did we not?
We did not.
We didn't?
We did not.
Okay. I thought we did last year.
So, 2 projects. And I don't know any other way to do it than just to be real frank. We have needs. I want you guys to think about it in terms of priority. I know we need garbage cans, and I know one of the propositions on the sheet that we were handed out was like alleyway restoration. So think about what you think we need first. And I just want you to take on the weight of that. It seems like, from my perspective, it's like, put it here, put it here. I mean, you want to put it towards, you think about this place and us having a responsibility to keep it up. We want to put it towards where it's going to be best be used.
Ms. Dukestein, Madam Chair, most certainly we want to put it where it's supposed to, and with the information that Mr. Mosby just gave, we don't want that.
No, we don't.
To revisit that.
So that's why I'm being clear with you about parameters.
One for me is definitely this.
Okay, and if we were not able to use it for this, or this was being had other funds that could possibly pay for the roof for this, what would be the second one? Ms. Clear submitted Veterans Park. She sent the email out to everyone, but I can also go through what she was hoping to do.
I feel like we get grants a lot for the parks.
Yeah.
So
there's so much to them.
Not to, say that those places aren't valuable. I just feel like those grants they come in frequently.
Madam Chair.
Thank you. May I ask,
Matt.
do I need to come up? Can I speak from right here?
Yes, you can speak from right there.
Thank you so much.
Can you, guys, just lower some, thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you. So on July 8th, I think we were all present, all of council was present. And at that time, we had the HUD hearing regarding these funds.
And Annalise Clear had a list that she was to go through and determine what these funds can be used for. So now we're asking the same question again on August the 12th. What is our suggestion for these funds?
You can actually, it's council's decision and how we position or what we put on the application. She had suggestions. One of her suggestions I used was to restore the alleys.
I'm sorry. That was what I'm referring to, is that every single person present tonight offered a recommendation on the July 8th meeting, the HUD hearing, on how these funds should be allocated. I am confused on why the same council members are being asked on how the funds should be used. Let me just take it a step further. The citizens of North College Hill, if you are active, and I'm sure many are, maybe not vocally active, but visually active on how funds should be allocated for the city. There are so many citizens who are concerned that this is still a topic of discussion when it goes back years in the comprehensive plan, I believe that's what it's called, where this discussion was had on how this building should be restored. In fact, that plan states, if I'm correct, it was known almost, my kids are 6, so almost 7, 8, 9 years ago, that building had asbestos, that building had mold, that the building was in a dilapidated position. And this is not the first discussion we're having on how these funds, or how this building, what we should do. So we have $55,000, and I strongly ask council, Madam Chair, administration to consider the needs of the city. We don't need any more money to go in the ground. We don't want to pass up on any more grants. We don't want the city to not be made aware of money that is coming in. And we definitely don't want it, I don't want it, citizens don't want it to go to another park. So any money that we have, we need to make sure, how will these dollars help North College Hill? Let me be more specific, the youth. How will this money help revitalize the city? Look at College Hill, look at Springfield Township. Ms. Underwood gave a great example about the pool. Let's talk about that, because we're not going to let bring it down. I don't think the city should just let all of council make this decision on what we should do next for this building. And I know that people are not present, but I know that there are a lot of people who read the comments and they do not want the building to be restored. It's in a dilapidated position, and please make a decision. It doesn't just serve council, but serves the city. And I know you will.
Thank you. So to speak to some of the things, and I want to, so we're derailing, because that's the next topic on the agenda, and that's the city building. But I'll speak to it. The building is not dilapidated in a way that it cannot be restored. The comprehensive plan has only been in lieu or put out there since we started scouting for someone to put a comprehensive plan in 2020. That couldn't have been 5 or 6 years ago. It's only, and we haven't received the draft even for council to consider it. So we haven't voted on that document yet. That's not something that's functioning as something we need to even work towards. We know it's out there, but it hasn't been given to us to deliberate. And every part of the comprehensive plan, we can still decide, hey, we do want to do this, we do not want to do this. The reason why this money came into question is because it was originally designated for the splash pad. Ms. Clear came back and said for whatever reason it couldn't be used for the splash pad. So that was the community effort to put it into something more community-based. Along the way, then we looked on the list and at the public hearing, and there was some reading on the facts that she gave us about the funding that said we could use it for asbestos abatement. So we know we had a asbestos issue. Now, we did know that we had the roof was not repaired on one side. We suspected mold, but that was the extent of the environmental study. The environmental study that revealed that we had asbestos only was given to us in 2023 in June. That is just as far as we've known. And that is when the city had to respond immediately and bring us over here. Before that, there was not prior knowledge to there being asbestos spores in the air. The environmental study was produced in June of 2023. And so it sometimes when you're given information, it almost seems like we've had this information for a big gap. I will tell you, if you really want to know what I know about that building, is that there was a previous council that decided to only fix half a roof. And it garnered having mold issues, because you cannot only fix half a roof and still occupy the building. It's water goes, will it will. It has a mind of its own. So we're fixing, this council is responsible for fixing things that prior people in our city, decisions they made, poor or good, I don't know. I'm not even saying that, but I am saying that I know you can't fix half a roof.
When was council made aware that only half of, let me say it this way, what year was it made aware, were anyone made aware that only half of the roof was repaired?
I'm not sure, because it was before my time.
And what time did you join council?
I was here in 2020.
So Mr. Mosby, he said 2017. So as I've stated, this is 20, so
But
the 7
mold
years ago.
wasn't there originally. It's
I
something
understand.
that developed over time.
I
And so when
understand.
we got the report that it was mold there, it was years later.
I do understand. However, if it was made aware in 2017, you joined council in what year you said?
2020. And
2020.
when I was in council in 2020, I will tell you, I'm stand big on this. They wanted to repair council chambers, and I said we will not shut. I personally do not feel like we should repair council chambers until we address the entire building. And that's actually where this building came, the renovation of this building came from. After that came a comprehensive plan, and that comprehensive plan has not yet been voted on. We cannot treat that as Bible, and we haven't even made it official legislation.
So if I can challenge, again, as I stated, I definitely do not want to point fingers on what happened 3, 4, 10, 20, 35,000 years ago. It's the current council's responsibility. You're sworn into this position, whether elected, whether appointed, you are sworn into this position. And we, as the citizens of North College Hill, need for you all to execute. We've talked, and we've talked, and we've talked, and we've talked. In fact, it was April that the gentleman flew in from Chicago and gave an in-depth, thorough analysis on how we can begin on the splash pad. But it's set, or he even said,
But that's not council's responsibility. That's Ms. Clear. She's over that.
well, let me say this. If council, and I could be off target, but I'm gonna say it. If council is struggling with getting movement from administration, then council needs to go to the mayor, and there needs to be executive decisions made. Because in order for the city to move forward, we all must work
So
collaboratively together.
We are moving forward, but so does it make sense to put $55,000 into a municipal building that we are not currently in? So we decided, we actually had decided to put the $55,000 towards the council, made that decision in our last meeting. It's not because Ms. Clear came back and said you can't use the monies that way, because when I talked through it with her, it is not true. That money can be put towards that building to remove the asbestos. In the process, we also learned that this building had a leak. So as time goes, things develop and priorities change. I do not want to be in this building and there is a leak and we are trying to figure out how to fix this, and then the same thing happens here that happens there. I agree that with Mr. Mosby that we have to allocate the money in a way that the grant prefaces so we can do it right. But that's where these conversations are had. Some of the other projects that were on Ms. Clear's list was Veterans Park. The other thing that was on Brandon suggested garbage cans. The other thing was, you said it. I can't bring it to mind. They were all pretty recreational in theory.
Something for the youth.
Right. And so we've now gotten to the place where if we can use it for here, we'll use it for here. What's the second thing that we can use it for?
Madam
Can you just
Chair.
clarify really quickly, Mr. Wilson? Can you clarify when does the decision have to be made on how these funds will be allocated?
We need to make a decision quickly.
Can you be a little bit more specific?
Miss Clear is not here because she's on vacation, and we agreed to come up and give her 2 selections tonight so that she can move on.
Madam Chair.
But the reason I didn't specifically say tonight is because I don't know if there's another time where we can actually have another meeting if it isn't made. I am just
don't want
saying,
another
I don't
meeting.
want to do it. I want to just handle it. So you're asking me a deadline. I'm saying I want it to be tonight. That's what I'm saying.
So, Madam Chair,
Yes.
my comment is, what we have, we got these on the table. We keep bringing up this senior building, and it's been brought up.
We already passed the senior bill and we're on the next one.
Well-
What's the other option? And I will,
Well, I was
after
just
the
trying to-
meeting, discuss anything about the senior building and why we would or wouldn't use the money. I don't want to do that openly. So I've said that, and I want to move toward the second option to keep the meeting going.
Basketball court or swimming pool, something immediate, doesn't have to be on the grand scale.
So if you guys will look at, did you guys read the email that Ms. Clear sent?
Yeah, as far as what can be used,
About what the other
money
options were.
Yeah, and that wasn't on there.
One of them was
Those
the
are just
alleyways. It was a
suggestions, right?
restoration of the alleyways. It was to clean the shrubbery, to sharpen up the paintings that were on the ground. Again, Veterans Park. She said that there was a whole host of recommendations from the people. She sent it to all of us.
But those were just suggestions, right? Those
And
were,
that's the list that I'm asking that you guys garner to come up with a second one. If you guys deem garbage cans were significant
speed
enough.
bumps, is that something we can use the speed bumps?
She,
Oh.
but the grant has parameters, and those parameters were given out at that hearing.
Most of this shit.
About these funds that are being suggested for a tree or a trash can or something, there's grant money available elsewhere that is specifically for that the city has received before.
Building, right here.
That's all the swimming pool.
Man, listen,
That's swimming.
man.
Okay, so I'm pulling up what she says. She says, greetings. I'm sending you again the information that I provided July 18th concerning the CDBG application. And so she attaches the hearing and the documentation there, and then she attaches this document where she's talking about the Hamilton County Planning Development.
So that's not the attachment that also has received during the hearing comment period? That's not that, because I see swimming pool on there.
Okay.
And I see
Well, I'm searching my email for you
Okay.
for this, because I gave you guys the projects that I remember. Not that I'm tied to them. I just gave you the ones that I remembered.
Because traffic calming, aka speed bumps, is mentioned on there as in.
They already did that.
Well, there are some that are needed, but not towards this one. Sorry? I was just gonna say, there are some that are needed, but Center Ridge and other Bobwood.
If I can just read, excuse me, Ms.
Go ahead, you
Dukestein.
can read it.
If I can just direct your attention, a lot of information that we discuss is, I use the word Googleable, so it's on Google. And it tells you if council is unsure of what these funds can be used for, it gives you a very detailed list. So I encourage you to pull out your
Well,
cell
we
phones.
were provided with the list. I'm just
Okay.
it would have been reading material that would have had to been consumed before today.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I don't think the issue is what council wants to use the money for. I think the issue is that a roadblock is being placed in our path So there's
But
not
what
going
is
to be
the
a whole lot
roadblock?
that we're going to be able to do about that
What do you
today.
think? What do you think the roadblock is?
I think that we want to use it for one thing and somebody else wants to use it for another.
What is
I
it
think
that
that's
you
what
guys
the
want to
issue
use it
is.
for? Are you guys hoping to use it for the building down here?
Yes.
Okay, so the reason that we're not using it for the building down there is because we have a more pressing need. If we're going to use it for buildings, we should use it for this building. And that is already on our #1 list. I will be more than happy to discuss. We need to come up with more than one reason. So even if we say that building, then this building, then we still need another one in case those other two circumstances don't work out. We need options so that I'm trying, I hear you, I agree, and I'm moving us past that so that we can have more options. So if those other two things don't work out, we can still have something that we are passionate about dedicating those funds to.
Now, would we be able to do either a basketball court or a swimming pool for $55,000? It feels like
No.
it costs more than that.
It does.
Do we have, my wonderful husband, Michael, what is the estimated cost to repair the city center?
Down here or here?
Yes, ma'am, the city center.
Oh, got it. Okay. So we were given lots of estimates. That's what's next on our agenda. Thus far, we can be looking at it probably. So the companies have been giving it to us in phases. I would like to first see us get rid of the asbestos, the mold, and repair the roof and get the building in workable condition so we can go back in. That is to the tune of just under $1 million.
I'm sorry, what I'm looking for is that there had to be
Total restoration.
Right. In order to determine how you want to allocate future funds, you have to have an estimated price cost. You can't just say, let's go forward, and it's 4 million, 8 million. So you have to give an estimated amount.
That's why I brought up the conversation about we don't have, even if we know the cost, we still have to, as council, decide how we're going to pay for that building to be restored. So we can't just make the decision we're going to pay it out of our cash account. We have to solidify funding and all of that. So again.
So how much is phase one? How much is phase one?
Just under $1 million.
And what is the timeline for phase one?
3 months. Total, we're looking at roughly $3 million to $3.5 million.
Okay. What is the total cost to renovate the senior center?
We've already renovated the senior center.
The roof repairs.
So we have an immediate repair for $1,900, and it's leaking in here. And then to replace the portion of the roof that needs to be, like, there's a portion of the roof that needs to be repaired in total. That's like $53,000. So this money will cover that. So those are two options that are on the table, and then I'm asking you for a third one.
And then also to clarify, if phase one is done, is the building now
We should be able to walk back in,
for $1 million?
roughly. We're still gathering estimates.
So it's 53,000 with insurance or, okay. All right.
Okay, so it sounds like we fixed this building.
Man,
So if the option is to fix this building, we still
Madam
need
Chair.
one more thing.
Madam Chair, I got a question.
Is it about the one more thing? Because we have
it
to
ain't
come
the
up with one more thing. Well, then
'cause
I don't want to talk. We can talk about it
just
out
throwing me off.
of the camera.
I can't move.
Okay,
no
well,
further,
you have to find a way to move forward. We cannot accept,
Throwing me
we
off.
have to go forward. We have to.
Okay, well, we can all agree that we need to fix this building, right?
So that's one of our options.
Okay.
We need one more.
I should suggest we do the pool.
I gave my suggestion.
So I don't understand exactly why Ms. Clear said that we couldn't use this money for the splash pad, and I know a splash pad and a pool is different, but that's why we are here in the first place, because this money was originally designated for the splash pad. And she said it had to be repurposed
It's because of the bidding.
because of the bidding and the hearings, and we wouldn't have enough time by the end of the year when it has to be designated in order to do that. And I guess, so that means that there wasn't enough development on how we were going to go with the splash pad in order to get an actual hearing in there to do it. So we have to choose another project. I am happy to receive or to communicate via email.
Tonight, please.
Okay.
Publicly on record. Madam Chair, can you clarify, goodness, the city center's funding, you mentioned you were not sure where that would come from?
What I'm saying is I cannot say we're going to get a loan.
Oh, good, okay.
I cannot say we're going to pay cash for it. It's not my decision. We have to make that decision together as we navigate what we already agreed as city council to restore the building. That was handled on 7/15. So the legislation is in the works.
Just to clarify, the city center will be restored, although citizens are against it. Is that correct?
The city center will be restored, although citizens are.
Against the
We
restoration.
can talk about that in the city center bullet. I hear you, I understand, but we're dealing with two separate issues. And I want to stay focused on the CDBG projects.
The only thing I could suggest is another recreational project that'll be beneficial to the community.
How much does it cost to do a dog park? Sorry for not doing the Madam Chair thing.
It would have to be the list of things that you were provided.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I think we had talked about a dog park a while ago.
Man, this,
So we've had a hearing, the list was compiled for us, and it has to be from there. Because I guess we could deviate, but we would have to go through to figure out if those parameters are what the grant can provide for, and I'm not prepared to give you that today. So we've had a lot of information given to us.
yeah, I don't know how you want to do this one.
So, like I said, I'm willing, if you got, because I don't want to project. I just want to know what's the dilemma. Was there nothing else on the list that you guys felt passionate about?
So you said two things. Like I said this and a pool. A pool is on the list, so there go my two things.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody else got something else.
I'm down with the pool program,
Okay.
and I already told you my other opinion.
Okay. All right. Now, we'll go with that. City building update. So I want to first address your concerns, Ms. Cureton. So you're saying the community does not want that. So what you're asking, you have to look at it from multiple different angles. First of all, Urban Fast Forward surveyed not the community. They surveyed a handful of people. I will tell you, if you go back and look at budget and finance, if you go back and look at our meetings, you will see that one of the major issues that I personally raised with their survey results is that they were about 200 people deep. We have 10,000 people here. That building is not dilapidated. The sticks and bones of the building are good and healthy. We are not going to be able to tear that building down and build a new building in its place for $3.5 million. If we tear it down and build something else somewhere else, we're looking at the estimated cost of $8.9 million, or at least above $6. So we have the fiduciary responsibility to do what is best for our city financially.
Miss.
In addition to hearing what the citizens want to say. So when you have 200 people that have been surveyed multiple times on the same issue, it is not a proper survey or pool of the true community. That's thing number one.
Mm-hmm.
Thing number two is the expense. Thing number three is the fact that that comprehensive plan has not yet been presented to council and put into legislation, which would be the only way that we could oblige that plan. Thing number four is that even once it is presented to council, council can talk about those things on that plan, and they can incorporate what they want and what they don't want off of that plan.
Madam Chair, if I can just say one thing. If you think about the dollar and being financially smart, not you, but I'm going to use you as an example, we would have been moved on this. We would not be sitting here almost at 10 p.m. having a discussion on what we should do with 55,000. So if we can't make a decision on 55,000, well, granted, $1 million, $3 million, $8 million, I'm sure that's probably too big for a big of a fish for us to fry. I get it. But what I'm telling you is if you model the same behaviors of our neighbors in College Hill, if you model the same behaviors of our neighbors in Coleraine and Springfield Township, not mimic, but model the behaviors. College Hill was not too far different from North College Hill about 5 years ago, but they had appropriate parties in the city to bring money and to revitalize the city. So yeah, it's probably hard to see it now. It's probably hard to see, where can I get 3 million? Where can I get 5 million? We don't have the money. How's it going to happen? It's probably hard to see it, but it's not impossible when you tap into the resources that are made available for the city. It's even not even possible to say, you know what, even though I got a no from one person about the pool, I'm going to even go and do my own research. And what I'm discovering tonight is that the research that has been done really hasn't been done, which is why we're still stuck on how to utilize 55,000, which is really not any money at all. But it's not impossible if we consider how our neighbors, we could have partnered. North College Hill could have partnered with Chirp to say, hey, I want to do some of the same things that you all are doing. Not mimic it, but model the behaviors so that we can thrive and tap into those same dollars that they're also getting. And I think that's where we have to change our thought process to talk about not where we are right now, but where we see ourselves in the future.
And that's exactly what I agree 110%, which is why I see us having a renovated city center building. That building is a school. It has a gym. It has offices. It has council chambers. It has the ability to build up. It's good sticks and bones. It's 3.5 million roughly, as opposed to 8.9. I mean, I feel like that's a good decision that council came up with already. Some of the fight in that was when we didn't have a city administrator and we're not getting monthly reports. We cannot position ourselves to go get lending. So there was an imminent stop and pause at progressing with on the city building when we were going through the adversity that the city was encountering, because we cannot go ask for a bank to help us with or to yield lending to us, and where our finances are, people are putting out there, we are inauditable, and we're not. So we had to get over some of those hurdles in order to present truth to banks. You know, we don't need the bad press. So that's why you saw me correcting some of those issues. I wasn't actually trying to debase people and make them feel bad for statements that had been made. I was actually cleaning up what had been put out there that wasn't true so that we could go forward. And we're in the forward right now. And I will tell you that the $55,000 was only put back in council's lap because Ms. Clear said that it had to be repurposed away from the splash pad. It was originally garnered towards the splash pad. And when we learned that we couldn't do that, which was somewhere around June, is when we started working on that. We're in August. We had the hearing last month. We're at the first meeting in August.
Madam Chair,
yes.
and another challenge, you know, everybody would love a new building, a great new building. But that, you know, I'm no architect, with the challenge of, our departments wanting to be back in a building,
Absolutely.
we would be able, in my opinion, like I said, I'm not an architect, to get the DAV back in quicker.
And those were
To,
some of our
if we tear it down, how long is that going to take? How long is that going to take to, build it back up? I hear just as much, conversation with, well, when you going to get, our, historical society back in? So it's like,
That was
get them back in quicker, but we want a new building. Which way do you go? Do we
Right.
restore it and get people back in, where they need to be? Or do we, tear it down and then that's going to extend it even longer?
Absolutely. So, and it's pulling old stuff out of the floor, having to meet new building codes. It's going to cost us just $1 million to take the daggone building down. So when you think about, we haven't even started on putting anything new up. So again, we're past the point of restoring the building. We've already decided to restore it. What we're looking at now is the quotes and which company we will go with. On that note, I understand it's 9:30. I'm gonna be honest with you all. My son starts school tomorrow, and we've been here, and so I will communicate with you all via email on the rest of the stuff. Unfortunately, we didn't get completely finished. I'll tell you real quick on the Dunson. I've gotten the quotes and everything from Public Works. We're moving forward on that. The only thing that I was going to bring up to you all is the specific location. That does not have to be handled tonight. It can be handled the 1st of September. We'll go ahead. What I would like for you all to do is submit to me via email a location to put the park bench in. We have to figure out a location. Other than that, the money it's less than $3,000. It just will come from the account it comes from, and it'll be provided for the family on behalf of North College Hill, and that's it. I did have some new business, but it definitely can wait till
Are you saying
September.
what park to put it in? I thought we had decided
We decided a park bench.
but we didn't decide a site.
We did not decide a site.
Does the family have a preference to what park?
No.
Okay.
I thought we.
What was the site that y'all decided then?
Because veterans is, I'm sorry, my bad.
No, go ahead.
Because I just knowing them, I know veterans is their nearest park.
We would not put a person that was,
a
veterans
veteran.
is for veterans.
Oh, okay.
It's Veterans Park for people of service.
I thought we discussed putting it somewhere by the location.
We
Did it
talked
happen?
about
That was
the
the,
bench. That's the plaque.
The plaque.
Okay,
And then
gotcha.
we're gonna put a
Gotcha. All right.
bench somewhere.
So you guys can submit to me via email
Okay.
where you want, and whoever submits the most, I'll share. You just do it on a group email, so everybody see where everybody submit, and we'll take whichever one come up the most. That's the one we'll choose.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
can we not do it on a group email?
Oh yeah, that's true. Sorry.
Okay.
You're right. This, my attorney friend keeps me in place. I'm so sorry. Yes, we can't, I cannot do that. We cannot do that. Fatigue hits. Okay, so again, the old and new business, it can wait till September. And on that note, it is 9:33 and I will adjourn. I didn't have a minute taker, but I'll go back and listen and take minutes for myself.
Okay, I had taken some.
Oh, okay, well, if you don't mind, you send me those and then
Sure.
I'll go from there.
Yeah.
All right,
Oh, wait.
thank you.
Oh yeah, her. I forgot. Zora.